Okay, here we are back. I'm okay. Everything's good. All right, everybody, welcome to Rush Hour tonight. We're back for another week, and I'm not sure why the audio keeps going off. Hang on one sec. I got to bring Mike on here. See if he hears this. I don't know why we keep hearing our beginning of the open.
I do hear it. Not now.
Oh, good. You were hearing that, right, Mike? Oh, there it is again. What is going on? Oh, my God. See, just when you need Craig. Just when you need Craig here to help out. This is not good. Let's see where we can. Why is this still going off? All right, let's take this off. I'm not sure why. What?
Now I don't hear it.
Oh, man, this is supposed to go off automatically. See, Craig's not here. Everything gets crazy. But anyway, Mike, thanks for coming back tonight. And I'm back tonight. Spartan Mike came back Monday on NY Giants Rush from his honeymoon. So congratulations to him.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
He'll be back in the fold. Probably next Wednesday in the rotation. So Mike and I are holding down the fort this week for the second, or maybe third week in a row. Mike, how many weeks is this, Mike? Like three?
Gotta be three.
Wow. We're bad luck. We haven't gotten a win. I think we started probably right before. I think it was after the Cardinal game. So man, it's probably our fault. Giants aren't winning here. But a big hello to Jay Faries, Peter Randazzo, and anybody else that comes in the room. Hopefully, people be chiming in soon. But Mike, I know you weren't on the show Monday. Neither was I. I feel like this is like we're beating the same drum every week. Thoughts on the Sunday night heartbreaking loss when the Giants didn't even have a chance and then they hung in there? What was your thoughts Sunday night?
Well, for weeks you and I, especially me, we talk about passion and urgency, which I didn't see, but I did see it on Sunday, especially on the defensive side. That was their best game defensively. And unfortunately, the offense didn't really do much at all in the red zone. And let's not even talk about that last play in the first half. That was just a total cluster.
Let me stop you there, Mike. What was your thoughts? I mean, when Tyrod went to the helmet to signal a change, I mean, do you put this on more on Dable to emphasize, or Kafka, this is the play we're going to, make sure we run it? Or do you put this more on Tyrod, the 13-year veteran, that knowing that you didn't have any timeouts, you don't get in, not going to get another crack at it to spike the ball, and he came up a second short?
Right. I have no problem with having a cadence to maybe change the play. It's just that as a 13-year veteran, he should know better. I mean, you don't do a running play when you have no timeouts. And what was it? 9 seconds left on the clock, something like that.
I believe it was. Was it 14?
14 seconds.
It was not. It might have been 9. I thought it was 14.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever it was, you knew that you wouldn't have enough time to get the play, run it, and try to get back and run another play. So, you had to take a shot in the end zone, and, it was just a misfortune there, because had they kicked the field goal there, even at the end of the game, let's just say that Buffalo would have went for a 2-point conversion. I would have thought when they took the lead instead of going for the extra point. So the worst scenario, when it scored have been 15-12, Giants could kick the field goal, tied it, gone into overtime.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, it didn't work out. They lost, but we expected a loss. But they played well on defense. So now we got to figure out how they're going to play better on offense.
Yeah, it really is a shame that they wasted I would say great, but very good defensive performance. No sacks, a couple pressures, but they did well. I mean, no complaints on the defensive side. Offense once again was stagnant. Move the ball. It seems like Tyrod, when you look at his career, he moves the ball well between the 20s, right? But it seems like red zone, even with his times when he's been with a bunch of teams, even going back to the Browns when he started the season with Mayfield when he was a rookie. Mayfield was a rookie. It's like he does move the ball, but he's had a problem, even Buffalo, as well, scoring points. It seems like red zone seems to be a little tough for him. Obviously, we saw that on Sunday night, but yeah, It's Tyrod moved the ball well, just problem in the red zone, like usual. And we're going to talk about the red zone in a minute when we get to our stats, Mike, for everybody to hear. But let's just recap everything that's going on. At the Quest Center and the Giant facility. So today, they had practice, Mike. Surprisingly, Jones did practice in limited fashion. He was just throwing the ball around. No, he's not cleared for contact. And a lot of people say, what is that? Who cares? Clear for contact. Like, what is he going to do in practice anyway? He's not going to get hit. But I think the clear contact is just, you want him to be cleared soon so he can play Sunday. So I know he doesn't get hit in practice, but if he's not cleared, he's not cleared. They're not going to chance it on a team, on 11-on-11 or 7-on-7, whatever they do, a practice to going over the game plan and running the game plan for Sunday. So tomorrow, as we always say, Thursday is always the big day. If you don't practice Thursday, it's a good chance you don't play Sunday. So although he'll be limited tomorrow, let's see if he gets cleared by Friday. Maybe he gets cleared Saturday. So, I
guess to wait and see.
What? On the flip side, let Washington keep guessing, right? Is it going to be Tyrod? Is it going to be Jones? So maybe we'll get some good news come the weekend that he gets cleared. But anyway, just going over the practice report. We'll go over this, fairly quickly, everybody. But did not practice today. Evan Neal still hurting with that ankle. Hopefully he plays. He didn't have a bad game on Sunday, Mike, as you saw. He played all right. So maybe he'll be good to go. We'll know tomorrow. But Evan Neal didn't practice. Matt Pert didn't practice. Wandell with the knee, and he had a good game. Wandell, the knee today, didn't practice. John Schmitz looks like he'll probably be out again on Sunday. Andrew Thomas once again didn't practice. He'll likely be out too, which we'll talk later, Mike, which will bring up an interesting left tackle situation. Limited, we mentioned Jones. You had Barkley today, limited. Cordell Flott with ankle limited. Graham Gano, which was weird on the report, a left knee. So he was limited. Mark Lewinsky. I guess Graham Gano wasn't making any tackles, right? He's limited. He's just kicking field goals today. He's not running downfield. Lewinsky with the quad. Adoree with the neck. Daniel Jones, obviously neck, limited. Shane Lemieux. Ooh, biceps. Okay, biceps and groin. Quite the combination there. And full participation by everybody else. So anyway, that's the injury report. Let's bring everybody up to speed on some roster happenings.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. So, yesterday was the big day, everybody. So let's get into yesterday. Tyree Phillips and all you guys that are coming on the show. And I know, the Jays, the Peters, the Dariuses, all you guys, we were all, hey, Tudo, welcome to the show. All you guys were clamoring for Tyree Phillips. And we were all saying it on the show, right, Mike? Why did the Giants, if you knew Pert wasn't going to be the swing tackle and you're going to move Ezeudu, who's a natural guard, only played 6 times in college, a tackle, right, Mike? Why would you let Tyree Phillips go and end up on the Eagles practice squad?
I don't know.
What do you think, Mike, about that whole thing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they felt confident in Ezeudu and Pert to hold the fort as backups there, as that swing tackle position. I know a lot of fans, let's be fair, last year, a lot of fans weren't high on Phillips when he did play. But he does give you more of the experience than his other 2 guys. So I was shocked when they didn't keep on the team. I was shocked.
Yeah, I was too. And, thankfully he wasn't claimed by another team. And I would think, he could step right in. He knows the game plan. They say the game plan. He'll know the game plan for Sunday, but he knows the playbook. He could step. He's been practicing, so he hasn't been at home, sitting around. And he actually made a comment today. He said playing against the Eagles front, he actually is more confident and feels like he's progressed even more than when he was here, which is kind of damning in a way to Bobby Johnson. I mean, here's Bobby Johnson, your offensive line coach.
That is.
He went on a little vacation for a couple months, and he feels like he's a better player now than when he left. So,
wow, that is
right.
That's a little backhand compliment.
I don't know. I don't think he meant it that way, but I picked up on that. Like, well, it's a little. That's an interesting comment. So, what do you think, Mike? Looking at Tyree Phillips, before we get into a couple of these other roster moves, and everybody out there, we'll get into some of your comments too and chime in. But look at, Matt Pert is like an afterthought. Ezeudu's going to be he's went on IR, so we don't know if that's going to be season ending 4-week. We'll find out.
Right.
But if you're looking at the tackle position right now, moving into Sunday, Mike, would you rather? And I know Pugh did a decent job, but he's going to be at guard. He's not going to. He that was an emergency situation, and kudos to him, man. Played his heart out and played well at guard when he was in there, and settled down at tackle. Do you think Tyree Phillips? Would you put him at left tackle, or you're going with Kajust, who's on the practice squad, who could be elevated, or you're going with this all these other guys that got brought in? They're not going to be ready. But would
no,
you?
They won't be ready. It's got to be Phillips. It's got to be Phillips.
Yeah,
he knows the system, and he did come in and play last year. I know it wasn't left tackle, but he did come in and play. So what other choice they have? You just gave their options.
Yeah, it's really Phillips or Pugh, and I cannot see them putting Pugh, who's been here really for 2 weeks, back at left tackle against the,
Well, they're going to need him at guard, right? Because
they need him at guard. Yeah,
he went on a four-game IR, didn't he? Zudu.
Yeah, and I have to check if that's actually a 4-week or he's going to. I think now it's 4-week. He may be transitioned to a season ending, but Dable didn't say that today. He's leaving that door open. So
right, and heaven knows we don't want Lemieux at guard. I'd rather have Lemieux there.
Yeah, and it seems like McKeithen, right? McKeithen's kind of taken a little back seat now. He's been pushed aside when Pugh stepped in and Glowinski. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I think considering Tyree Phillips knows the playbook, I would think see him at left tackle.
Yeah, and I see McKeithen coming in and filling in the snaps, because you can't expect Pugh to play the whole time. He's, you got to realize he's missed a lot of the year, so conditioning is an issue. So I can see him bouncing and filling up some gaps and just taking some snaps to give those guys a rest. That's what I see right there.
Yeah. I'm right with you on that. And hang on 1 second. I just wanted to one other thing I wanted just to mention with let's see here. Okay. Today's developments. Justin Pugh was added to the active roster. Thoughts on that, Mike? Pugh, we were
expected. Yeah, it's expected. It would have been like a no-brainer, not to do it. So, yeah, it's expected.
Yeah, I agree because
think about he did when he he's been away and he comes back, plays guard, and suddenly 10 plays later he's got to play left tackle going against a pretty decent pass rusher. He did a pretty good job. He really did.
He did.
He's undersized for that position.
He did, man. You could tell he lost some weight. Like he's just not as thick as he was, but he held his own. I like the fact they brought Bellinger over there to help out, a little bit and give him help. But I'm with you, Mike. I'm happy he's back, and I think his place is going to be at guard unless everybody goes down and they have no other choice. And I don't know if you heard his comments today, or anybody heard it that's listening right now, but watching the show. His comment today was, the Giants is where he wanted to be. He made a comment that he was out to dinner over the summer, and he said he saw Jerry Seinfeld at a restaurant, and he loves Jerry Seinfeld, and he felt like, hey, I got to be back in New York. And then Arizona, when the Giants took the week to practice, the Giants were out there, and he felt like, wow, they're out there for a week, and he lives a few minutes away. He did his workout with them, and he said if it's not with the Giants, he'd probably retire right now. If the Giants, weren't going to, re-sign him to the active roster at any point, he'd probably be done. And this is where he wanted to finish his career. So who knows, Mike? Maybe he's a depth piece next year. Maybe. In an off-season program, and at 34 years old, we see linemen play into their late 30s. So who knows? Maybe he could be a piece next year to, be that depth piece if he doesn't start. But I think right now he's gonna give him a couple weeks. I think he's gonna ramp up even better. So
he'll get his timing down. Yeah, give him a few weeks. Conditioning, yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. And Peter Randazzo, he's gonna be up against an all-day sucker and Sweat. Yeah, Montez Sweat. You're right. I think Peter said that. Yeah, Montez Sweat. We'll get into that. He leads the team in sacks with Washington with 4. So he's definitely going to have his hands full. And they'll be moving guys around.
It's a good front four they got over there. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that'll be a nice test. I mean, with Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. Yeah, there'll be some some heavy boys in the middle there. Excuse me. All right, so getting that out of the way, Mike. As we get into the defense, all right. So now we got that out of the way. Do you want to start off with defense, and then
let's talk about
okay.
Yeah, let's talk about defense a little bit, and this is pretty even if you look at some of the categories between the Giants and Washington. You got we'll start with points allowed per game. The Giants are ranked 28th in the league, and the Washington's 29th. So it's pretty close. And the Giants give 28 points a game, and the Washington gives up 29 a game. So are we going to see a higher scoring game than we've seen from the Giants? Could be. Maybe the Giants would be a little more fortunate in the red zone against a team that's not as good defensively. So then you have total yards per game.
And Mike, if I can go off that real quick, and anybody watched the Atlanta-Washington game last week, the Falcons were in the red zone 3 times, and they gave the ball up each time with interceptions by Ritter. So I tell you what, they could have given up even more points on average. So they only gave up 16 last week, but they could have given up close to 30 if they go in and score on those, even a couple of those red zones get close to 30. But yeah, to your point, that could have even been inflated more. And they good job by Washington. They got 3 turnovers in the red zone. So
yeah, absolutely. And the total yards allowed, the Giants almost 100. No, I didn't read it right. The Giants are giving up 364 yards, and Washington is actually giving up more, 377 yards. Again, they're ranked near the bottom of the league. And so again, does that point to a higher scoring game? And if so, does that favor the Giants or does that favor Washington? If it becomes like I guess these 2 teams more like a BB gun shootout,
Yeah.
But that it all depends how the Giants, maybe another week with Taylor under center, he might be a little more acclimated, might feel more comfortable, and we'll let you touch on that on the offensive side, how he'll do and how the Giants will respond offensively. And then you got passing yards. The Giants are actually in the middle of the pack. They're going to have 217 yards a game. And I guess that, our secondary hasn't really done bad overall. They've had their moments, but they haven't done bad, especially the rookie, Deion Banks, has played very well.
Yeah. Mike, if I could stop you and everybody, watching, and hey, Mark, thanks for coming in to the show too. I find it in a passing league that at 16th, it's middle of the pack. 217 yards. I would expect that to be much lower. They'd be in like the high 20s. But this year, it seems like scoring is down a bit. We've had a few blowouts, but it seems like, I don't know. This seems like the scoring isn't as high. A couple teams, the Dolphins are always putting up points. Who else? Frisco had a couple games, but even Dallas. But I feel like, I expected the Giants at 217 passing yards per game, maybe to be in the 20s. Yeah,
I agree. I agree. And again, in this passing yards a game, Washington again has given up much more, almost 250 yards a game.
Right.
So they're allowing some possibly big plays out there.
Yeah.
So it's up to the Giants to find that weakness.
Yeah.
And here's a big one. There's a couple here that we'll touch on, but rushing. The Giants, once again, last year they gave up 148 yards a game, and they're about the same, 147. So that really has been their Achilles heel.
Yeah.
They're really not controlling that line of scrimmage, and that they have to dominate, or better yet, they have to contain Washington's running attack.
Yeah,
they really, really do. They can't let. Go ahead.
No, I was going going off what you said, Mike. Going off, and you could elaborate, but going off of Bobby Okereke's play, McFadden stepping up. I think maybe now after the Buffalo game, things start to slow down for especially McFadden. It seems that way. Hitting the gaps a little bit better and getting off blocks. But yeah, I'm with you as well on that. Got to improve that.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. That's probably one of the best games I've seen. 2 inside linebackers for the New York Giants have on the same game. Mm-hmm. I know we had Aaron Pierce here, and he had some great moments with the Giants, but I can't remember the last time 2 inside linebackers for the Giants played that well in the same game. And and listen, I've seen a lot of good football for the Giants, a lot of great linebackers back in their history.
Yep.
So I date back to the 70s. So I saw a lot, and they did a really good job. And like you just said, hopefully they can carry this over and just continue this throughout the season, because that will be the strength of their defense if they continue this.
Yeah. And Mike, I'm going to throw a name out to you and everybody. The last time I saw a linebacker have an impact on a game like that recently, he wasn't here long, but he had a hell of a career with Carolina Panthers, was John Beeson. If it wasn't for that foot injury, he would have a few more years with the Giants. And I'll tell you, if you remember that Chicago Bear game where he carried like 6 guys on his back and he was making tackles left and right, and that was
and
then he was battling the foot injury back and forth, and you know what? Boy, that's kind of the game Bobby Okereke, reminded me of the other night. Recently, anyway, John Beeson. So
yep, that's a good comparison. Absolutely. Takeaways. The Giants finally, in the last couple of weeks, finally got some takeaways, some interceptions, some fumble recoveries. So they're sitting at 5 right now with the takeaways, and you got the Washington Commanders sitting at, and I still can't get used to saying Commanders, but they're sitting at 6. So that's pretty evenly. And I do think, in my article I wrote, I think that will be one of the keys to the game, turnovers. And then you have the interceptions, just a footnote. Giants at 3, Washington has 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here's something that's going to be interesting in this game with two teams that are struggling is the offensive line play. You got total sacks, team defensive sacks. Giants only have 5, folks.
It's embarrassing, isn't it, Mike?
It's very embarrassing. And 4 is Thibodeau. And a lot of us who watch the game feel that he could do better. It doesn't seem like he's been his best, but he does have 4 in 6 games, which will translate into double-digit sacks at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, to me, there's something missing with him. It seems like if he doesn't make a sack, he doesn't make a tackle. There's no tackles. I look at his stat line, and he's not around the ball. If this makes sense. It seems like he sometimes lets the guy blocking him guide him away, doesn't fight through it, and sometimes even tight ends dominate him. And I mean, I wish we had Carl Banks on the show. I mean, did a tight end ever dominate Carl Banks?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be another one if the Giants can get some pressure, which they have an opportunity with this offensive line. They have a good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, and Mike, going off that point, you saw last week Dexter Lawrence was going over the center a little bit, and then we're gonna have Nick Gates, who's he's a good player, but and feisty, and he's gonna have a battle with Dexter Lawrence.
They battled in practice last year, right? They battled a lot in practice, right?
They did, yeah. They know each other very well.
Each other, yeah. It's going to be a war.
Yeah, so I think everybody we'll definitely all be watching that matchup. But
listen, I'll go out right now and say this. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a lot of pushing and shoveling after a lot of plays with these offensive line and the defensive line. I think you see a lot of pushing and shoving more than usual. I mean, it's a division game. It's two teams that don't like each other, and I just think the personalities, like Lawrence and Gates. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of pride, and there's gonna be a lot of trash talking. You know that, and I think there's gonna be a lot of pushing after the play.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Mike, a divisional game. The Commanders are 3-3. They want to get above 500, and this is a head-to-head matchup. And we've seen it before with these giant Washington games. They all go down to the wire. And when you factor in, Justin Pugh coming back home, I wouldn't be surprised seeing him mix it up in the middle with the adrenaline going in front of the home crowd, and he's on the roster. And Nick Gates too, right? He didn't want to leave here.
No, I didn't want him to go either.
And now, he's got a little bit of payback, I'm sure, and he's going to be fired up. So I think you're right. I think there's always a few skirmishes, Washington, Giants, Dallas, Giants, Philly, wherever it is on the East. So we're definitely going to see that. We'll see a few offsetting penalties, I'm sure. Hopefully they're offsetting. Just don't get caught with the second shot.
That's right.
We always get caught with the second one, right?
That's
Everybody,
right.
We see it every time. The NFLPA they should actually have in their symposium. They should actually show that to all the guys and say, don't hit the guy after you get hit. You're going to get caught. It never works.
Right.
Like they should know better. But in the heat of battle, people lose their heads. It happens. So
that's true. That's true. And just to add on to that, Washington almost has 4 times or 5 the sacks. They have 19 sacks, which isn't overwhelming, but it's more than likely it's in the top 15 of the league right now.
Yeah, so, I think we have here, Mike. It's around 8, so they're top 10. Not bad.
Oh, that's right. It's not bad. You're right.
Yeah. And Mike, just to go off that, and I think you said this before, when you look at their sack leaders, it's very spread out. It's not one guy. Montez Sweat, you said it. He has 4 sacks. He leads the team. Then you factor in Allen and Payne and a few of the other guys, linebackers. It's spread out. So you don't know. It's probably better that way because you can't key on one guy. They're coming, I
agree. And that's kind of what Martindale's defense is like. It's not just one guy, and unfortunately, it's really not turned out that way. Is with the Giants. Then you got the penalties. This could be a little hidden factor here. Penalties. Mm-hmm. Giants have made 42 penalties, and they've given up over almost 340 yards, which put them 28th in the league. So a lot of stats the Giants have in the bottom tier,
right?
Which is expected for their defense, the way that they're playing. And Washington is doing okay. They're 7th. So, a penalty here, penalty there could cost either the Giants or Washington the game.
Right.
And we don't know. It could be a field goal wins this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Possible. And then to tap it off, you talked about Sweat getting 4 sacks. Mm-hmm. And then you have what do you have here? There's tackles by the safety. What's his name?
Cameron Curl.
Cameron Curl, yeah.
Cameron Curl, which like you said,
that's why I wasn't sure of the name.
Yeah, but like you said a few weeks ago, Mike, when your safety leads a team in tackles, that could be good and bad. Is he coming up in the box, or is he making a lot of tackles downfield? So I think when you look at their rushing, what they give up, they're giving up 130 yards a game, which isn't that good. So it's probably a lot of tackles downfield breaking past the second level. Yeah. And that's what I saw last week a little bit against Atlanta too.
I've always said that. That's why Love led the league, the Giants in tackles last year.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to question when your secondary, especially your safeties, are making the most tackles.
Yeah,
I always have to question that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and a big hello to Andre and Timothy who just joined the chat. So thanks for checking us out tonight.
40 years Giant fan, Andre.
All right, man. Awesome. We got to put that up there.
He's with me.
All right. So, guys.
I'm going on 50 years, though. So I'm a little bit ahead of him.
Well, it's got to go back a long time to see this offense so anemic. I mean, a couple years ago with Judge and McAdoo here and there, wasn't that great. But this is, this is really unbearable. Like averaging, and we'll get into the offense points. But, but what else, Mike? Anything else you want to add on that? Anything else? Give me your thoughts on the defensive. What you think on the Giants' defensive? I won't say game plan, but you got McLaurin, you got Howell. Obviously, he's a second-year guy. You want to shut down the run first with Brian Robinson. What are you looking to do on defense?
Well, I look. Me personally, I would love to see them get more blitz packages in on Howell and test him. Especially with Thibodeau. I just don't like the fact that they set him out in coverage a lot. But again, I'm not the defensive coordinator. I would like to see the Giants keep up the intensity. If they play the same way they played against Buffalo, against Washington, it gives them. I think it gives them the advantage in that game. Yeah.
Mike, are you concerned with another game where the Giants limit the Washington offense to, I don't know, let's say under 14 points, and the Giants, muster up 3 field goals and they lose once, like a 14-9 again? I mean, would you be concerned about the little animosity in the locker room after a second straight game of not scoring points, but the defense did a pretty good job?
You mean animosity between defense and offense?
Yeah, a little friction between both sides, because here you go, second game in a row, the offense puts up any semblance of points, even a couple touchdowns, they win both games. So, I mean, in today's NFL, it's hard to imagine, you can't score more than 11 points, which the Giants are averaging.
Right. Well, is it possible the Giants offense continues what they're doing? Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And it's not It's not the first time that there's been a rift between defense and offense in that regard. What you just said. I mean, the Giants back in the '50s, they were a phenomenal defensive team, and there was a time when the offense couldn't do anything, and it was almost like the defense had to score touchdowns to help the Giants score. So. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the last, and it's not the first, it wouldn't be the last time if there'll be a little bit of an issue if the Giants continue their offensive drought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And anybody else has any opinions on what you think if the defense, let's say, keeps Washington under 14 points and the Giants score, a couple field goals, not even a touchdown, or they lose, let's say they lose, I don't know, let's say they lose 14-10. Do you think this starts to build in the locker room and it gets a little frustrating? I'm sure it's frustrating already, but between both sides, I mean, it's going to be up to the job of Dable and the coaching staff to make sure that these guys, are not talking to the media and giving ammunition and letting things spin off, emotionally on each side.
I think, Chris, if it's 14-10, depends how that. That would tell me they probably scored a touchdown. But I would think if it was like Giants could, like you said the first time around, 6 points, they get in the red zone and maybe they turn it over another time, and the defense has to keep making plays. And I hope it doesn't come to that, but it's a possibility. If it does come to that there will be a little animosity. Again, great. It's up to the coach staff to keep the team together.
You're right, Mike. It's almost like human nature. I mean, come on, you're doing your job, and after a while, it's got to wear on you, like, frustration and just, especially in today's NFL, right? I mean, everybody scores points, and when the Giants are scoring 11 points, it's really unacceptable in today's NFL with the amount of penalties they throw on interference. Everything, as we've heard and seen, is geared towards the offensive side of the ball. You got to score more than 11 points. All right, Mike. Anything else on the defensive side?
No. Let's go through the offense. That shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, let's go. Everybody, chime in. We'll put up some comments. Anybody wants to chime in any of these stats. So on the offensive side of the ball, the Giants are averaging, as I just mentioned, 11 points a game. That puts them at 32 in the league. Washington, they're middle of the pack. They average about 22 points a game, 15th in the NFL. So middle of the road there. Total yards per game, I actually thought this might be a little lower. As bad as this sounds, 265 yards a game, the Giants in total offense at 31. But the way we see this offense, and I know they move the ball here and there between the 20s. I actually thought maybe that'd be in the 230s. I was actually surprised to see 250 or above 250. Yeah. Washington, they're at 302 yards per game and total yards at 22nd in the league. This is a big one, and this is kind of close. And we always see with these tough NFC games, they come down to a few plays here and there. When you look at the third down conversions, very close. Giants at 39%. Washington at 34%. So not the greatest, but it looks like they both struggle on third down, which we know the Giants have for quite a while. Rushing yards per game, not bad. I think they were above 100 a couple weeks ago. They're actually at 99 now, and that ranks 21st at the Giants. Washington, similar, 88 yards a game. They're not really rushing the ball a hell of a lot either. Last week you saw Brian Robinson rush for 10 carries for 31 yards. His score was out of the backfield on a screen. So, they may try to get to the running game a little bit more. I'm not sure what we'll see with Washington, but I got to think, knowing that the Giants do give up a lot on the ground, I think their game plan could be a little similar of loosen them up and then work McLaurin into the game. Passing yards, I mean, this is unacceptable. Even with Tyrod in there, they obviously brought the average down a little bit. But actually not really. What did Tyrod? What he passed for about 180 yards last week? If anybody knows, I forget what he passed for.
It wasn't very high. It
wasn't very high, but it was I won't say tolerable. But Giants are at 166 yards a game. Washington's at 214. That puts Giants at 31st in the league. So, okay, so Peter Peter knows, man. A lot of you guys are good, man. Peter just said 200. So, yeah, 200 yards. Not, I guess for a backup, we would take it. We should have won. Turnovers. Giants are at 8. Washington at 10. So, similar there. Offensive turnovers. Turnover differential. The Giants are closing in a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, so that -3. Washington -4. So, similar there. I mean,
like I said, Chris, that could be a factor of the game.
Yeah, and that's the big one. When you look back to last year with the Giants, I mean, they were at this point, they were probably like a +3. Not many teams that are, in the minuses get to the playoffs unless you're scoring a ton of points and you could, afford to give the ball up. As we know, the Giants can't afford turnover with this offense. Yeah. Some individual stats from last week on the Washington side or overall. Sam Howell overall for the year, 1,500 yards. Which I was surprised to hear because he had 3. He's had 6 interceptions, so he's been up and down. He doesn't move overly well in the pocket, but he can get out. He's given up. He's had a ton of sacks himself. He's not really a big runner, but he will get out of the pocket when he needs to. 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Ball security, 2 fumbles he's had in 6 games. So keep an eye on that for Sunday. McLaurin, typical Terry McLaurin, 31 receptions. He has 3 touchdowns.
He's been a Giant nemesis. For a couple of years.
Yeah, we saw last year big game at the stadium, which led to the tie. He had some big catches there at the end.
That would be fun to see him Banks on him for that game. I would think. Banks,
oh yeah,
I
would think so too. And so rushing 302 yards for Brian Robinson, 3 touchdowns on the season. He has 3.9 yards. He scored last week once again. That was on a screen pass. He had 10 carries for 31 yards last week against the Falcons. What else? 14 to 23 for Sam Howell last week against the Falcons for 150 yards. And one last thing, and we know tight ends with the Giants, they have Logan Thomas, 19 catches. He's like that's ranked 13th in the league. So once again, Sam Howell will look to Logan Thomas for some passes downfield. So once again, we'll see how the defense handles the tight end spot, which is always up and down with the team.
Yep.
So that's the offensive stats. What else can we throw at you before we move on?
Well, how about the red zone? Giants red zone.
Oh yeah. Did you have you had the defense, Mike? I don't know if we did the red zone.
The Giants. No. I think you read the defensive part, didn't you? The red zone. Did you mention the red zone? The Giants are 31%. Offensively in the red zone, and Washington 62. That's almost double. That's huge.
Wow, man, and that's what it could come down to.
Yeah, one team getting a touchdown, the other one only getting field goals. That could be the difference in the game.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, the red zone has been obviously a big issue, and we keep dealing with that.
I think Peter asked what the over under is. I don't know. I didn't look.
Yeah, I didn't check that today.
I would think it's very close.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring this up by Jay, and Mike and I were talking about this before. So, Mike, going over the offense, I mean, if you're the Giants, before we even see that, before we touch upon that. So, Mike, we got through the defense. We mentioned a couple things, but on the offensive side, what do you want to see the Giants do on the offense? We don't know if Taylor. Let's just go with the premise that Tyrod's going to be the quarterback.
I think he's going to be a quarterback.
Yeah, and if he is, what's your game plan on offense, or what do you expect the Giants to do on offense if Tyrod starts against a defense that you can run on? And their pass defense hasn't been great either.
Right. Well, I did an article yesterday, and this is in it. I really think they need to do, and it sounds cliche-ish, I think a balanced attack is the way to go. Barkley had a good game coming back. He had those, he had 2 big runs that helped pad his stats a little bit, but he still helped carry the ball and gave chunks of yards for the Giants. I think they need to continue that. They got to get Waller involved early. It took a while for them to get him involved in the last game. And I like the fact that they're playing Hyatt more, Jane Hyatt, and that was good to see. And we talked about Robinson. Hopefully he'll be ready to play. I just think a balanced attack, those quick little curl-ins, those quick little slants, give the ball to Barkley. And what do we see that usually the Giants don't do is they actually had their guards mobile.
Yeah,
they were pulling. They were pulling. Guards and centers were pulling. What a concept.
Right.
Yeah, what a concept. That's the old trap play the Pittsburgh Steelers were famous for in the 70s. And it worked for the Giants. So I see a balanced attack. I think the Giants need to do that. You can't have Tyrone Taylor throw for 40 times. That's not
No, you can't. Especially against that front line.
No.
Gives up, has 19 sacks. Good job by the game plan last week to get Taylor two-step drop, get rid of the ball, and even if he has to check it down. But yeah, he's not going to have time back there. So I'm with you. Set it up with the run, old school, wear him down a little bit, and get that running.
Try those long passes like they did.
Yeah.
Once in a while, hey, if Barkley's run the ball well, those safeties are going to creep up a little bit. It's just natural. And then you take a shot vertically. You go down with James Hiley. Go down with Slayton.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. They finally got loosen them up. Yeah, that's what we always say. And as fans, and I know everybody says it, take a shot, right? Even if it's outside the numbers on the sideline, at least don't worry about interception. But at least it loosens up the defense and puts them on notice. So maybe we'll see that because that secondary can be had. And a couple of good comments by Jay and Peter. But yeah, if they lose, is the season over? Mike, your thoughts?
If they lose, is the season over?
We'll be 1-6. Trying to be 1-6.
Statistically, 1-6. Yes. I hate to say that, guys. I'm not really a pessimistic person. I'm pretty positive, but I just think they don't have the kind of offense that could. Personally, that they could string out six plus wins in a row. They just don't have it.
Yeah.
But yes, I think if they did lose this game, it would be devastating for them, not only physically, emotionally, but statistically, it would probably seal their fate.
Yeah, and Mike, this brings us back to 2021, 2020 even. Before Halloween, the season's over. Leaves aren't off the trees. Leaves haven't changed color hardly. And for us as fans to get emotionally, because I feel like right now, Mike, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I feel emotionally detached. Like I'm not getting all crazy anymore after 1-5. Now it's like I sit back, watch the train wreck. If they surprise me, that's great. But here's what I will say, and everybody, see if you agree with me. If the Giants, for some way, would win Sunday, and then for whatever reason, I know, Peter, if we lose the following week, the Jets, you're right. If we lose Sunday, you're right, Peter. I bet we do get shot against the Jets with that defense. But if the Giants were to somehow win Sunday and next week against the Jets and get to 3-5 going into the Vegas game, I'm back on track a little bit with a little bit of relevance. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but it gives meaning and a little bit of you have something to look forward to on Sundays. Maybe you put pumpkin picking on hold on a Sunday and do watch the game. Don't catch the second half. Listen, who am I kidding? I'll be watching it, but you know what I'm saying? You won't be like all wrapped up and ticked off and crazy because they're not going anywhere and it's just a train wreck. But they win the next two games. How are you going to feel, Mike, if they get to 3-5 going into Vegas?
Of course, I'll be very happy and I'm very, very positive. And yes, they can win these games. It's not like they're playing juggernauts. But as quickly as they can win these games, they can lose these games too, because they haven't shown us how that they could be any kind of a consistent team. They had one good half offensively so far this whole year. They had one game defensively, which was last week, that you felt proud as a Giant fan because let's face it, Giants are known for their defenses. I felt proud watching them making stops on third down. Showing that emotion, but they can win these games. They can win these games, but they have to play perfect football, get breaks. Don't turn the ball over. They got to play nearly perfect football now because they put themselves in such a big hole at 1-5.
Yeah, and right, Mike, they just don't have any room for error, and that's what happens when you don't score in the red zone. You don't throw the ball downfield. You struggle in the running game. You struggle stopping the run. The room for error, the margin for room for error isn't very big. So listen, as we transition, I mentioned we might have a special guest tonight. I'm going to bring him on. Just hang on 1 second, but I got one here. So everybody knows this special guest. He had a show tonight. I was listening to part of it before we got on, and let's welcome Jerry Foley from Giant Insider to the show. Jerry always has some great info.
What's up, guys? Nice. We just finished up. Literally just launched.
Hang on, Jerry. I got to put the 3 box on for you. Hang on.
There you go. There you go. I literally just launched our podcast. Oh my God. What's going on?
All right, Jerry. Hey, good show as well. I was listening a little bit tonight, so before I had to get on here and prep a little bit. But yeah, as always, great show. Everybody knows Jerry from Giant Insider. He had a show tonight, so please check them out. And Jerry, we were just talking. We went over a lot of stats. I don't know if you heard any of it, but it really is startling when the Giants' offense is this bad in a passing type league where they average 11 points per game. And my question to Mike was, Jerry, I don't know if you heard this. If the Giants defense were to give up only, let's say, 12 points, 10 points, even 14, and the Giants muster up a few field goals and let's say even a score, let's say they lose 14-10. And I know it's the coach's job. Do you foresee like the friction in the locker room between the offense and defense and just causing where they spin off and say things to the media, and just kind of, off the cuff kind of stuff?
Chris has a better handle on that. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't think so. I think Daboll kind of has a handle on that. I wouldn't expect that. I was funny because when you were saying 11.8 points and what if they don't score? Like, oh my God, we just talked about this. It's so funny. And by the way, Mark Thompson, I didn't ignore anything. I saw every one of your comments, buddy. I love you guys. Mark, come on, man. Click him. I want to see his face. Click Mark Thompson, please.
Yeah, it's
I think I highlighted one of his comments. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, he's probably on the show. No, I'll get him up.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's funny. I didn't ignore you, buddy. No, listen, I don't think that's the case with Daboll. I think what I'm getting tired of is hearing the comparisons with Ben McAdoo, and I just think it's so far fetched to say that. I could see that with him. I don't see that with Daboll. I don't think that would happen. If it did happen, I think it'd be corrected pretty quickly. You saw when Evan Neal kind of spoke out of turn. I think the organization probably said to him, "You better retract this quickly because you're gonna lose fans." Right. I don't foresee that. I really don't. I think they're all in this together right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree, Jerry. And unlike the previous regime, these guys come tied, together. I mean, you got to listen. Daboll went to the playoffs in this year. If they don't, they don't. But we even thought about a step back. I mean, I think at the least you're getting Daboll 4 years. I don't even think he's going to have.
Yeah, no. They love him, man. Like, it's so far fetched. I could see them making trades and things like that before anything like that happens. I could see them. If Jones' neck injury kind of lingers and the Giants are picking top 5, I could see something happening there. We haven't really talked about that much because I'm trying to avoid it.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I don't want people coming at me with pitchforks and tiki torches and everything to chase me out of town. But the reality is, if you're picking top 5 and this is the deepest quarterback class in forever, how do you ignore that? But no, I think Daboll's here for the long run. I think he's part of the Shane package, and it just takes time. Sometimes take a step back, man. It sucks. It's terrible, but I think he has to change some things. I think there's an issue with the offensive line coach. I think Evan Neal is a shell of himself and completely in his head. We just talked about this. Thomas McGahee, that's got to be looked at. Not just how they're performing, but the penalties. Like, it's unacceptable, all these penalties on special teams. So he's got to change some things, but no, I think he's here for the longer haul.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Jerry. I mean,
by the way, I totally highlighted Mark's comment tonight, so that's funny. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, Mark knows this stuff as well. A lot of your listeners and the people on with us too. Jerry, looking at left tackle, we were talking about this earlier. Your show is probably going on now that Tyree Phillips comes back. He knows the playbook, and he made the comment that he learned a hell of a lot with the Eagles. Did you hear that comment in the locker room today?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Me and Mike were getting a chuckle. I don't know if that's damning against Bobby Johnson that he learned more being away from the team than actually practicing with his own offensive line. But going into Sunday, do you see that he's probably going to be slotted right in there now that Azudu's on IR, or do you think Matt Pert, who's like, this is ridiculous, comes in as the swing tackle? How do you make a Zudu jump who never plays tackle? Or do you foresee Pert at left tackle? What do you see that for Sunday?
Well, Pugh was signed, so I would imagine they're going to try that again.
Jerry, you think they're going to put him at left tackle Sunday?
I mean, compared to what we have, we cut Tyree Phillips. I mean, look, first off, that comment about Bobby Johnson, that comment that he made is as damning for Bobby Johnson as it is praising Stoutland. I mean, he's the best offensive line coach in the league. But I don't know, man. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if they put Pugh out there.
Yeah, I thought, Jerry, that, and Mike, what do you think, Mike, about Pugh going back to left tackle after being here a couple weeks? And he played well the second half. I mean, Bellinger gave him a little help, but I still, I'd rather, be in his natural spot. But.
That's what I thought, because they did have, like you say, Zuzu get hurt, and they're certainly not going to put Lemieux. I think he's hurt anyway.
God,
I know.
Lemieux should just. Going to the sunset together at this point.
I know. I just think Phillips might be the guy, and they put Pugh inside with Growinski right now, because they did well, and when the Giants had their guards pulling, their run attack got better. They had more motion. To me, they looked better.
And I'm sure tomorrow, if Chris is at practice, I mean, we're going to see what that first line looks like and get a good indication tomorrow. I think.
I think Pugh did enough. I think, like, this is so sad, but Pugh looked like our best left tackle since week one.
I know.
That's true.
For me, it's like, well, I guess you put him back there, and even if you had, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, unless you start Tyree, if it doesn't work out, then you do the switch. But maybe you're right.
So then you put McCutcheon and Gowinski at guard. Is that what you're saying? To start?
Yeah. I think that's what they would do. I would think it would be Pugh, McKethan, and then
Bredesen. Right.
Yeah, probably Bredesen at center by default because he's really our backup, because Lemieux can't play guard either. I mean, I think it was the 49er game when everyone's asking for Lemieux. Then you see him just get bowled over by Hargrave. And then then Glowinski, and then Neal. That's how I think it would be, but I don't know. I'm guessing here.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out next couple of days. It was good news to see Jones in limited action at practice. Jerry, I'm feeling like this could be one of these things, gamesmanship, Tyrod Taylor, they don't know how to game plan, but once again, Washington, are they really afraid of Tyrod Taylor and really, it doesn't matter, but is it one of these things where you feel like Saturday he gets cleared a day before and it's not Friday, but he's limited the next couple days and then they clear him Saturday, like one of these last minute type deals?
Problem is he hasn't been cleared for contact. So
right, well, that's what I mean. You think they clear him for contact Saturday, and
I think it's going to be Tyrod again. I think they're going to be they got to be very careful with this. I know Jones said he feels good, but when you're talking about the neck, like especially a couple of years ago, we felt good, and now he feels good again, but it's still an issue. So I can totally see. I'm thinking it's like 90-10 that it's Tyrod Taylor Sunday.
Okay. And I was saying before, Jerry, I don't know if you caught this. If the Giants were to win Sunday and then next week you become emotionally attached again, like us.
I become emotionally attached at 12:59 this Sunday.
I know, but I mean, I'm
an idiot. I'm an idiot. Like
I'm what I'm saying. You gotta let it go easier.
I'm admitting my faults here. Like the second I feel, I'm like, we can rattle off 9 straight. So I'm an idiot. Like this is my life. So, but yeah, I said it on the podcast. I would have felt a lot better if they won, obviously Sunday, because 2 and 4 with the schedule coming up is like, all right, wait a minute, we're still in this. Like we have winnable games coming up. 1 and 5, it's like, are we really going to win all 3 of the next games? If we do, then it's Dallas and win a game. Beat someone out of your weight class for once, guys. But no, I think once 12:59 hits, I'm a buffoon again. Yeah. Until they lose, and then if they lose to the Commanders, I'll put it this way: if they lose one of the next 2, it's likely over.
I guess what I'm saying, Jerry, is when they're in this type of situation, it rolls off your back a little easier after the game. Like you could function with the family and the house and not be in a bad mood because it's a train wreck anyway. But when you're emotional, like when it's a good team and they should have, and you kind of you take it with you a little bit longer. But the way the team is now, kind of like you can turn the page a little faster. And,
well, with look, where I live, it's more Philly. I live in Robbinsville, New Jersey. So with the Phillies and going to the World Series, they're going to go. With the Eagles finally losing, like that was like, oh, thank God. Even though it was the Jets, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That affects the mood as much. So right now it's just not a good sports time for me. But yeah, I mean, look, if they lose Sunday, it's more of just, this is kind of what I expected. It's just this is the year. I would say the Seahawk game was probably my low point this year, because it was, all right, you know what? We won the game in Arizona. We looked like crap, but we won. We were not going to beat the 49ers. The Seahawks we should beat. And when you get beat 24-3 on national television, and it seemed worse than that. It was like, oh my God, that was my low point. After that, I just kind of was like, well, do whatever you want, guys. You got Miami and Buffalo. Good luck. So I've kind of been numb at this point. But if we lose Sunday, I'll probably be nuclear.
Yeah, we were saying it before, Jerry. The leaves aren't off the trees. It would be over at probably most definitely at 1-6. And then you really have to think: is it worth even pushing Jones to come back in the following week again, especially against the Jets defense? Right? Maybe it's you put him on the shelf even longer, and who knows? Maybe they do IR him. I mean, it's a lot of questions, but I think after Sunday, a lot of those questions may get answered, whether they win or lose, depending on the Jones situation. Do they rush him?
And then you start speculating about what are they going to do? Are they going to move on? I mean, I know he's got a 4-year deal, but really you're on the hook for 2.
Yeah, next year's the big one.
I got a question for you,
Mike.
Yeah,
I saw this on Twitter a lot today.
Yeah.
Scenario: do you think it's plausible that Jones could be traded at some point before his 2 years are up in that contract?
I mean, anything's possible, but first off, who would want him? Who's
if he clears, let's say he clears.
No, but I mean, like, what team is loaded to where you think we are Daniel Jones away from a Super Bowl? Like, I don't know. Like, that, it's easier with Saquon because you say there's going to be a team we were talking about tonight, like Baltimore might think they're a running back away. Quarterback, it's tricky, man. And then you're trading for that big contract. You know, right now, guys, unfortunately, the Giants may be the only team that thinks he's worth that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tough part because of the salary and the position. That's the only thing, guys. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big salary to take on.
Yeah.
And as we come up to Halloween, the trade deadline, I mean, one of these losses I think would pretty much guarantee if the Giants were to win these next 2 games, do you feel, Jerry, that the trade deadline wouldn't be as a big sellers, as we think, because now they're kind of still in the mix a little bit.
Yeah, and especially things like
a little bit.
Yeah, because 3 and 5, 17 games, you're still in it. You got more than half the season left. So I think if they win these next 2, I don't think they would be sellers. I think you lose one of the next 2, especially the Jets. I think they'd be sellers. Yeah.
Right. If they lose the next 2 and then go to 1, or even lose this next game on Sunday, 1-6, 1-7. I mean, open for business. Everybody's not everybody, because there are guys who not, but they're open for business to talk. Like I'm talking to Dory Jackson, maybe even to Barkley, but
McKinney.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I'm just saying that would be an option for me, right?
Sure. That makes sense.
And I keep saying a team like Buffalo could use an Adoree because they're banged up in the secondary. That could be
Leonard Williams if someone wants to take that on.
Yeah, take it on, sure. So,
but yeah, I think everybody would be. I think everything's on the table when you're 1-7. I think, you know, if John Mara is looking out of his press box at 1-7 and hearing Jets.
Oh yeah, at a home game, yeah. Sure.
Oh my God. Good luck.
That's a good point.
And looking at that schedule, Jerry, and you being down in the near Philly, that last game of the season at the holidays, that's right around New Year's.
Oh no, that's Christmas in Philly, and then the last game of the season is at home. Yeah,
which is TPD, could be a Saturday game, which makes it even worse. All those Philly fans, I mean, that will be overrun like never before. Holiday season, last game on a Saturday, if that gets moved, oh my goodness, Mara's going to love that one.
Well, I said, that's going to be the low point of the season if this goes awry, because it's just going to be 90% Philly, 95% Philly. They'll be playing. Maybe they're not playing for anything, or maybe they're playing for home field advantage throughout the playoffs at that point. I don't know. I do think they're going to start struggling now with their schedule, but that aside, they'll probably be playing for something. And if they take over the stadium, that's gonna be the low point of the season. It's funny. Jay Farry says John Mara's not the type of GMs we've turned over coaches. Like, guys, don't underestimate that. You know, I understand what you're saying. He doesn't want to do that again. He's not doing that. But I do believe that everything would be on the table at 1-7. They don't want to lose to the Jets, guys. Just put it that way. That is,
of course,
like a cardinal sin. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Chris.
Where did he go?
I don't know, man.
So let's keep that going with the Giants scenario. If they are 1-6 and lose this game, now the trade deadline, isn't it like right around the corner? Even if it shouldn't matter if they win or lose against the Jets, it's pretty close, isn't it? Around the corner.
Yeah, no, I'm saying if they lose one of those two games, 1-6, I would imagine if they go to 1-6, I would imagine they'd be sellers. I'm saying if you lose to the Jets, it hurts that franchise a lot more. They want to beat the Jets. They do not want to lose to the Jets. And they've look, if you look back, they lost to them with Shermer. Before that, I believe they lost to him with Coughlin. I don't think they've beaten them since 2011. I think they lost in 15, they lost in 19, and now they're playing this year. So they haven't beaten them since the Christmas Eve game. So
Right.
it means more to the Maras, to the organization.
Hey, welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, a little bit of delay there. But Jerry, I know you had a long night. I don't want to hold you up, but I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight and stopping by. You're, always a friend of, our show, stopping in. And
guys, Chris is the man. He's such a good dude. Like, there's a lot of BS on Giants Twitter. And I just want to say, like, Chris, you represent the best of Giants fans and Giants Twitter. You're a good dude. You're a good human being.
Hey, I thought you talked about Chris Bizignano.
No, I'm talking Chris too, but I mean, I'm talking about you right now.
Oh, thanks, man. Like this when you're talking. I'm looking at him.
No, but look, you guys, we always say this, man. Like, you guys, New York Revival, you don't take shots at people. You just do your thing, and it's a good time.
Yeah, that's Chris, what it's about, right, Jerry? I mean, listen, we're all Giant fans. We're not competing with one another. I mean, listen, we all want the same destination. We want to get there all together and celebrate when it happens again.
And he's a fun guy to tailgate with, despite the fact that he just eats protein and no carbs.
That's not true, man. And by the way,
the
everybody, when are you going? Are you going to go to the Jet game, or are you going to go? You're not going Sunday,
I'm
are you?
thinking it's the Jets game, but I mean, am I going to go to the Jets game if we lose Sunday, Chris? I don't know.
We go Sunday.
I got to do a live stream Sunday.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, why don't we play it by ear, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And I didn't see the end of your show, but what's your prediction? We'll go around the table.
20 to 16
Jerry.
Giants. 20 to 16 Giants.
Okay.
Wow.
That sounds like a Giants-Washington score. Go ahead, Mike. What do you think?
Well, we talked about this earlier about both teams defensively, and they're not that give up a lot of points, so we could have like a BB gun shootout here. So that sounds pretty close. I would say a field goal is going to win it. So I don't want to say what Jerry said. I'll say 17-14 Giants.
Okay, yeah. Chris Bizignano said 2017, so he was pretty close too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of game.
All right, I'll go 20. I'll go 23-20 Giants. They'll muster up some points, a couple touchdowns, maybe 5 field goals. I don't know, 6 field goals. I say.
Nice.
Oh man! But Jerry, thanks again. And before we head out, just want to thank everybody for coming on to the show tonight and checking us out. NY Giants Rush returns on Monday with Spartan Mike and Craig. So check that out day after the Giants game. So we'll recap. And then go ahead, Jerry. Tell everybody where they can find you as well. Anybody that's new watching us tonight.
No, I appreciate it, man. We're on Twitter at Giant Insider. Now we got a YouTube channel as well, Giant Insider. So we're on all the podcast platforms and stuff.
Yeah,
so really
it's great to see you guys live. You're doing the production and the open's awesome. So it's good to see you guys, your faces. So
yeah, no,
Chris looks like he's being held hostage. Chris looks like he's being held hostage.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, he doesn't have the memorabilia like you.
No, I'm insane. This is nuts. Yeah, that's why I laughed. I said Robert Saleh when he got hired said Giant fans aren't passionate. I'm like, yeah, hang on one second. I just want to show. Yeah, we're not passionate at all. No passion. None of that. So,
no. Jerry, we got too much stuff. We don't know where to put it anymore.
Right. So,
all right, cool. Thanks for everybody for stopping by tonight, Jerry. Thank you again, and hey, man, we'll talk soon. All right, over and out. Have a great week, everybody.
Take care.
You guys good?
Almost.
Oh, sorry. Still going.